TekWar barrel 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 TekWar barrel 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 Shotgun barrel 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 TekWar barrel 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 go do 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 TekWar.
Cryo freeze. Boom, 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 boom. TekWar. The most exciting thing about TekWar is our made up EDM that accompanies that does not accompany the show.
Welcome, Tech Warriors, to episode 75 of the Lasercomb Podcast, the show where we comb through random episodes of classic TV with a fine-tooth laser. I am, as always, Christopher Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm your other host, Neo Cal, here in the flesh in 2024.
Yes, in 2024, we're back. We're back, baby. The show's been on a nearly 2-month hiatus, quite unintentionally. We just got busy with other things, you see.
Holidays, man. Holidays and being sick.
Holidays and being sick. I had pneumonia
throughout
most of December. Well, if you're a patron, I actually recorded. We recorded an episode of the Patreon exclusive Super Lasercomb Patreon Super Show while I was dealing with the thick of what turned out to be pneumonia. So you can hear
after that, I was like, dude, you have pneumonia.
That's what everyone was telling me too. They're like, you have pneumonia. Like, absolutely.
Go and listen to that for a mere $5. You can hear the horror of somebody breathing that has pneumonia.
Yeah, it's my first time having pneumonia. Hopefully my last, but I hear you're more susceptible to it once you actually get it, you're more likely to get it again.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So that is no bueno. Anyway, episode 75, Lasercomb Podcast. We're continuing on with our Patreon-sponsored shows. This time, once again, sponsored by our longtime listener and patron, Lewis. And he pitched us a show called TekWar.
That's right. Not the book series, not the video game, the 1994 TV show.
It ran from 1994 to 1996. From created by and
Produced,
starring,
directed. Not kidding.
By the director of Star Trek V, The Final Frontier.
The director of Star Trek V himself?
Yes. The director of the one Star Trek movie that, like, literally every Trekkie will agree is the worst Star Trek movie.
How dare you? But also, yeah.
Where the Shat Man himself takes the USS Enterprise into the center of the Milky Way galaxy to meet with God.
It was God.
What is God? What was the starship?
Yeah, what is God? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
So, from the director of Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, we get TekWar, Shatner, TekWar.
Cryo freeze. Imagine if it opened with that sick EDM. I know we've made this joke 4 times to each other, by the way. If you're on the page, you're on our Patreon. We do it a lot in our Patreon Super Show. The funnest part of this show is the show that we made up. Sorry, the intro song that we made up. There is no sick EDM in the intro. That's what did you say? It was like over text or something, but you were, or maybe it was in person, but you were like, TekWar seems like a 2000s like dance.
I said it sounded like like 1990s like German like
90s. There we go.
goth like BDSM
Yeah,
club like music.
like an industrial like electronic music like club. Yeah, yeah.
TekFall. Go. Well, and that, folks, is the only enjoyable thing about TekFall.
TekWar. 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 Okay, so we usually don't. We've gotten away from this, but I want to back up, and we usually talk about writers, where things come from, its original conception, and so very shortly,
Okay.
I'm going to take the ball. TekWar is William Shatner's like life project.
Yes.
He wrote a series of books. Well, he had help writing them, but he wrote a series of books.
Spelling is hard.
Hey, spelling is hard, man. There's no space between tech and war, by the way.
Yeah, and there's it's the 90s because tech is spelled TEK.
Well, that's what makes it cyberpunk
Yeah.
as fuck, right? It's tech.
TekFall.
So on TekWar, one word, capital W, is a book series by William Shatner. Shatner. And Shatner,
I feel like we should just make this song now.
I feel like we kind of have to. What was I even going to say? Oh, did you know there's a video game?
No, I did not.
Yeah, search TekWar video game. Yeah, so basically, TekWar, I don't got a lot to say about it or how much or how good it is or whatever. It can't be great because I haven't heard about it until recently. But
I remember this show being on TV in around 96 or so.
But but it's so okay. So book series, video game. I think the video game came out in 94, right? It's probably equally terrible. And TV show. And it's all his pet project, William Shatner's pet project. He directs, he produces, presumably like helps write, and he stars in TekWar. I don't got much else to say beyond, hey, did you know there's a book? This is based on a book series. And hey, did you know there's a video game? Other than, yeah, it's his pet projects.
If anyone is
TekWar's his baby.
If anyone is curious, the video game is titled, and I quote, this is the official title, William Shatner's TekWar.
Oh yeah. it's William Shatner's TekWar. Sorry, that's right. I looked at some screenshots of it. Looks unplayable.
Gameplay, this is per Wikipedia. Gameplay, the two most distinguishable features are the hub-based level system. All the levels are interconnected by a subway station. That's actually pretty novel for the mid-90s.
It's fair, yeah.
And the fact that all of the NPCs in the game, enemies, policemen, civilians, are shootable.
Yeah, homeless
Sweet.
dudes.
If a player draws his gun, the policeman will attack. When a policeman or enemy is killed, their ammo can be picked up. You don't say. Civilians react to having the player's gun pointed at them. Missions are completed when the Tech Lord of the mission is defeated in combat.
That's a little ahead of its time, pointing the gun and having different reactions from NPCs.
Let's let's see if there's some gameplay.
Yeah. Wait,
Let's see if there's some
is he
gameplay
in
footage
the
on
video
YouTube.
game? I think there's pixelated Shatner in the game.
He's on the cover.
Yeah. We're
So,
deep diving in real time, folks.
all right, I'm gonna have to leave that that YouTube main page open. I don't know why, but YouTube is now just always recommending me like thick ladies in revealing bikinis just doing stuff.
I don't know why, for some strange reason.
But that's like all YouTube is recommending to me now. I'm not complaining, mind you, but every time I bring up YouTube to look up something else, it's like, oh damn, fat
But
booty.
have you seen this gymnastic? The art for TekWar video game looks very like what's
Okay,
that?
I just opened a new tab and new recommendations of thick ladies in bikinis came up. PC long play, 2 hours. Not gonna watch it for 2 hours, but I am gonna check it out.
It's
Ah,
very like synthwave or outrun styled. What's the word I'm looking?
oh, the graphics look straight up like Duke Nukem
Vaporwave.
3D.
Oh, I meant like the art for it is very vaporwave.
The music is kind of like synthwave.
Okay, yeah, music, synthwave, but yeah, the art for like the back of the box, I'm like, holy shit, it captured some things.
You know, this game
Maybe
actually doesn't look half bad.
yeah. Now, as I was going and like looking at it, I was like, you know what, this isn't looking
Watching
bad.
gameplay of it, I would play this.
Kind of reminds me of Duke Nukem.
Guy's got a metal hand that he can just claw.
You can claw.
Yeah, apparently. I'm
It
at
looks
the.
like it was made by the same team of the guys that did like the first 3D Duke Nukem. Oh, you can get run over by cars. But yeah, it's kind of
Well,
like
there's
the
there,
Nukem.
there's full motion video of
Oh,
Shatner.
there is.
Sweet. I doubt it's playable. Well, actually, it might be playable through DOSBox. I don't know. After we get finished recording, I might try and track down this game.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be the best part of TekWar.
See,
But
and
for
unlike when we're like, hey, we're going to give this full series a shot, and then never do, with the one exception of me and Ash versus Evil Dead,
that's right.
I might actually like try and track this game down.
Huh.
This doesn't
But
look
yeah,
half bad.
the game kind of is of its time. But TekWar the TV show. I said something I liked over text to you before recording, and it was after you said there's nostalgia parts in it for me because they're parts of the set feel very 90s office. You
Yeah,
remember?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I said so. One thing, and I'll just say this on air. So one thing I have to say in Tech War's favor is the offices look very authentically like 1990s offices, and I felt a little bit of nostalgia for that bygone era just from watching the show. Meanwhile, the show is supposed to be set in the far off future.
Yeah. And I had said, and you could tell the age of the person doing this because there's nostalgia of the creator for the 70s, for Columbo, for like the noir like cop like that needs to do things loose and fast to get the bad guy, right? So I had said to Siege, it is a show made in the 90s, set in the future that feels like the 70s. Because I
Yeah.
was amazed that this was made in 1994 because it feels so like whoever had made it grew up in and is fond of media of the 70s.
So a
But none of
reviewer.
those to the benefit of the show, mind you. Like this was competing with like Star Trek and, well, everything else on TV. Like it,
So a reviewer for next. Oh no, this is about the game. Never mind.
Oh,
But,
okay.
whatever. Who cares? A reviewer for Next Generation magazine agreed that TekWar stands out from other first person shooters, but felt that the game's nonsensical mechanics outweigh its freshness. He particularly complained that though the police will fire upon the player if he has his gun drawn in public, they show no reaction if an enemy fires upon the player character, and will actually help gang members. It will help gang up on the player character if he tries to defend himself, concluding that only fanatical fans of TekWar or Bill Shatner should get this one, and even then, they probably won't like it. 1 out of 5 stars.
Not even 0, 1. So there's something of value there, is what the review is telling us.
That, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that description could probably apply to the show as well. That's why I decided to run with it.
So we had randomly rolled up on episode 18.
Well, okay, so
Okay.
here's something that happened. So when we did the roll through the whole random number generator, we ended up on episode
Right.
22.
Right.
Now, because for some reason the series of TV movies, which I believe there were 4, are also considered episodes in the show's run, it was actually episode 18 of the show. And so after I was initially confused last night. I'm like, okay, what the hell are we actually supposed to watch? But the name of the episode was the same, Betrayal. So I'm like, okay.
That.
So I'm like, okay, we're gonna go with this one. And I even sent
I
sent a link to it to Cal. I was like, so I was confused about what we were even supposed to watch because of the weird numbering of the episodes, but I think it's this. And Cal was just like, LOL, thank you.
Yeah, because I was like, there were movies. This is we rolled Betrayal, but that's not the number. So you know what? So we're going with the spirit of what we read.
Yes,
which was Betrayal,
which is
on YouTube is episode 18.
Which is the final episode of the series. So back-to-back Lewis picks, RoboCop the series, and now this. Both times we landed on the final episode of a show.
Mm-hmm.
From 1994.
This feels like a final episode.
It does feel like a final episode, yeah. Mercifully so.
But perhaps merciless. Well, yeah, merciless. Mercifully. Oh,
merciful fate.
Merciful fate hath brought us upon the final episode. So I don't need to wonder how the relationships end.
Sisters of Mercy.
Sisters of Mercy. The show opens up with lingering shots on parade or animatronic creatures, like a giant cock, a dinosaur, back to the giant cock. I'm like, what is happening here? Are they in Lego World? And it shows 2 people creeping around with not the most sci-fi looking weapons, microwave parts in their hand.
Yeah, so we got the 2 cyber cops, who I thought they were cops throughout most of the episode. It turns out they aren't. Because they mention at one point that the main guy, whose name is Jake Cardigan, which is the most
Cardigan,
great value branded film noir
Reacher.
PI.
Oh, that is it, yeah. Well, Jack Reacher
Cardigan
was taken. You know Jack Reacher. Here's Jake Cardigan.
So we got
very film noir. So we got Discount Scully and Jake and President's Choice Jake Cardigan.
Jakey Boy
and Scully.
Jakey Boy Cardi.
Jakey Boy Cardi. And,
so yeah, they mentioned later.
Big warehouse.
They mentioned later on in the episode that he's a former cop, and I'm like, oh, I spent the entire episode thinking they were just cyber cops, but no, it turns out that they're private investigators for this private firm that's owned by William Shatner.
In the future, there are big companies that I don't know. I guess it's a firm, yeah, a TekWar firm.
TekWar,
yeah, private. TekWar. But yeah, there's a TekWar apparently, And we know this because they come across a bust of sorts, people, dealing in tech. Um, and A gunfight kind of happens. It's not an exciting gunfight, but there are explosions. There was a budget for sparks.
No, and indeed, I'm folks. I watched this last night. I was probably about 2 whiskey and cokes in when I watched it. I'm not gonna lie. um, and I don't have the episode in front of me, so like what you're getting is just my kind of like off the cuff like memory of what I watched last night. So to sum up the beginning of the episode opens with the two like cyber cops at like docks or a factory or something, and they fuck some.
Happens.
A fight happens, and they fuck shit up.
They fuck shit up, but the bad guys get away, and Scully almost dies because he's hallucinating. Jake Cardigan is hallucinating, folks.
Right.
And then the sick vaporwave intro plays, which shows you the cool cyberpunk future.
Right.
And they, I don't know, like the police officers bicker a bit. He flirts with a blonde hacker chick, Jake Cardigan, when they're back at like the base.
Right. Yeah, I remember
there's a Vulcan.
I remember the cute blonde chick in the show.
Yeah, the hacker chick.
Yeah.
She's the guy in a chair.
Yeah.
Of the show.
Yeah.
And they find out that
there's some big
internal investigator has been hired by William Shatner, who is their boss.
Yeah, because there's the big bad of the show. What was his name again?
Legner.
He had a stupid name. This is great audio right here.
I'm gonna call him Logner.
TekWar
guy. Yeah, we're reviewers, folks. The cast. Here we go.
Even looking at the cast, it doesn't make like it's not clarifying anything. Anyway, there's a big bad of the show. I'm guessing it's Carlisle Rossi, just based on the character description. Anyway, so there's a private an internal investigator has been hired by William Shatner because it turns out that someone has been leaking information to the big bad of the show, who I'm guessing is Mr. Rossi himself, Carly.
Okay. And the boss, played by William Shatner, is Bascom.
Right. Now, the guy that they hire is, I don't know, some asshole. So they hire Mr. Asshole, and he immediately thinks that the main guy, Jake Cardigan.
Lambert, right?
Lambert?
Like the guy that they freeze at the end.
You're
talking about the guy that's investigating.
The guy that's investigating, yeah, is
okay.
So he thinks the person who is leaking information to the big bad is Jake Cardigan himself, and he's trying to convince Bill Shatner of this. And Bill Shatner is like, "What? I just can't believe that. I would trust Cardigan with my life.
Cardigan with my life. I can't bring myself to can't just hand him over to you. He works fast and loose. He is an asset to the team.
What does God need with a starship?" Oh, folks, this show is a rough watch, so we're gonna try our best to entertain ourselves.
There's so many scenes that if the show had just split it up so that there were only 6 scenes, but instead it's like they're out in the field, he's at the therapist's, they're in the office, they're out in the field, he's talking to somebody. He's talking to somebody, but her hair is up. Is this his therapist or his partner? I don't know. They're just kind of both like decent looking, like white chicks in like like
Generic
80s
90s wear.
generic, but it's like a little bit dated and it's supposed to be different. So it's kind of like ageless. You're like, is that a 70s like power suit? Is it like what is going on here? And yeah, I confused some of the characters watching this. Um but yeah,
So,
it jumps around a lot. But basically, this guy, internal affairs investigator, is right on Cardigan's ass and is suspecting him of all people because he, I don't know, like doesn't do things by the book.
well, because he apparently is dealing with something called freezer burn.
Which is kind of a cool cyberpunk name for somebody that
Deal,
has mental problems from coming out of cryo freeze.
yeah, which I didn't really look into it, but I kind of got the impression that how they deal with criminals is a very like Judge Dredd, like IsoCube type way.
Very much like the hit movie Demolition Man, starring Wesley Snipes uh, and Sylvester
Sly.
Stallone.
No, I actually watched that the other night, a couple of weeks ago.
Demolition Man.
Yeah, I have it on
Yeah,
Blu-ray.
so
I found it
criminals are
at
frozen.
Walmart for like $5, so I'm
Yeah,
like, hey.
criminals are frozen, but the problem is to do out their time so that. But the problem is they dream, and the longer you're in there for, the more messed up your head can get, and they call that freezer burn.
Yeah. So Jake Cardigan apparently was frozen at some point uh, for being framed for crimes he didn't commit, per Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
So he's dealing with some like mental health issues from being in suspended animation, basically. And so he's going to see a therapist who immediately
I know exactly what you're gonna fucking say. Immediately, you're like, this person does not sound like a therapist.
well,
But
and my initial
continue.
thought was like, wow, what a tried and true and effective method of therapy by making the person who's clearly suffering from like PTSD actively relive their trauma.
Not only that, she's like, oh no, like you're supposed to face your like fears and blah blah blah, and then the dreams will go away and you'll be cured. Therapists do not tell you that if you do X,
Yeah.
you will be completely better. You'll be neurotypical and happy, and off you go. And so she's immediately only a few more, and then when we see the root of your fears, you'll be cured. And I'm like,
Then you'll be all better.
pretty sure you're actually legally not allowed to just do this and you'll be all better.
Yeah.
I don't think they're allowed to do that. So I immediately got this is not a therapist.
And
I couldn't tell if it was because of the bad writing or if that was tipping us off to something. It's both.
Well, she is a real therapist, from what I recall.
She's a real therapist.
She's just corrupt.
But what she's doing is she's working for Lambert, who is this like TekWar like person in the background.
Right.
That we get an exposition dump later by Shatner, who he is. But he's the person pulling the strings in the background, combating the organization.
I will say Lambert is a pretty good villain name.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, go into this machine and I'll be here right with you. And we're going to visit your PTSD and put you into it and make you face your fears. Remember last week when you came in, you couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman that you were hallucinating about. But now you know it's a man. We're getting one step closer.
So just keep coming back and reliving your PTSD trauma through these like dreamscapes that I'm going to walk you through.
And to nobody's surprise, nobody's surprise, he's starting to sleep less and less. He's like sweating as the show. Kudos to the actor. As the show like progresses, he gets more sweaty and jumpy and angry and like
paranoid
and he's sleeping like less and less.
I'll give the show credit. He did like I actually like the like paranoid psychosis that he was going through, like the paranoid delusions and whatnot, seemed pretty authentic.
that's the thing. I was like, this is somebody who is tripping, or they did trip, and to the point where William Shatner, good old Billy himself, is like, he's back on tech or something like that. Like
Tech,
he's on
yeah.
some sort of drug or something that like
He's a
hackers
recovered
take.
tech head.
And it's like, and they're like, what? No, he's not back on it. Trust me. And he's like, Billy's like, well, haven't you seen him? Nervous. He's anxious. He's jumpy. He's paranoid. He's back on the tech. Damn it. Cardigan, give me the drug. Give me the drug. Um, but instead of being like, is this therapist legit? He keeps going back because like just the therapist is promising, just we're so close. We're gonna find, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's your boss. Like we'll get there. And then there's a FaceTime call. I love that old sci-fi from like the 90s all the way back always has like an LCD like computer with people sitting down on it, FaceTiming like somebody for video calls.
I mean,
Which no,
that
which is
that
what
was
we're doing.
yeah,
But
that was one like bit of future tech that like sci-fi like kind of accurately predicted. It just kind of happened later
it's
than
yeah, and people would they walk around with them now. Like people are
yeah,
more likely to have their phone than they are to be going and sitting down at their desk, right?
right.
But I love that. I love that about this. I love the video calls. Like somebody sitting at their desk and they take a video call and just turn to it, or they get a call and they walk across their like loft, sit down and like take the call, or like lean down and there's just like an ominous figure, like grainy figure talking. I like that kind of thing. And it
Or
reminds me of
or
like
it
Demolition Man,
or it's like a big like CRT TV in the wall.
in in the wall. That's my favorite too. Not a flat screen.
No,
It's
like an old like a it'll be like a like 23-inch like CRT TV that's just embedded in the wall.
embedded in the wall to give the illusion that it's just a flat part of the wall.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah, it's just a projection
And like
bulb TV with
there's no
like,
camera or anything, so you have to wonder watching. It's like how
I never thought about that.
how is the other person like actually seeing them? Because this is just someone looking at a TV screen.
I've never thought about that. They're just looking at a screen
Yeah.
in everything.
Even in The Dark Knight, which at this point is a 16-year-old movie. The scene where we're first the scene where we find out like the plan like regarding the money where Lau is like
Oh
on the
my
TV.
god.
Like they just wheel him in like on a
They
CRT
just wheel
TV.
him in on like your social studies professor doing a movie day.
Yeah.
Like wheeling in I forgot. They literally just wheel in a CR.
A CRT TV on like a
They totally do.
elementary school like style like
When they could
metal
have brought him
stand.
up on a flat
And
screen, or
and there like there's no camera or anything, so it's the same thing. It's like how are they actually?
and he's like, "Hello, gentlemen," as if they're having a video call.
yeah, it's like so how are they actually looking at each other?
Holy shit! Next time I watch that, I need.
I mean, right now, like in this recording that we're doing, like we're looking at each other on our screens, but like we have webcams. Like
Yeah, there's a big fist-sized like camera sitting
yeah,
somewhere. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, weird.
it's a minor detail, but
It's a minor detail that I will forever not be able to not
unsee
think
now.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now that you pointed it out, the screen is also a camera.
yeah, apparently.
I never questioned that growing up. I was just like, oh, in the future, cameras are going to be so small. They'll be in the screen. That's a terrible idea.
The like 1992 like CRT television is going to double also as a camera.
Even in the future.
Even in the future.
Especially in the future.
The year is 2007. It is the future.
It is. I kept thinking about that watching this. I kept thinking the year is 2007. It is the future. Feel if this show is more self-aware, I think it would be better for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if it had that tongue in cheek, like this is the future. We can get fast food delivered to our door in minutes, right? Like if it had tongue in cheek kind of.
So, folks,
Does not, by the way.
the year is 2007. It is the future. Is the
Oh,
tagline to the 2013 video game Far Cry Blood Dragon.
both of which I think we've like 100%ed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
I've done everything in that game, and like honestly, that game only takes like 6 or 7 hours to 100%. It's not very long.
no, it's one of those where you will play it long after you've 100%ed the Chivos.
Yeah. Game ends with you like having this like laser thing on your robot arm, and you're literally riding a blood dragon as like the hype theme song, the do is playing, and you're just like blowing shit up.
Yeah, the gritty there is not a more self-aware video game than Blood Dragon.
Oh yeah,
It
totally.
took all the best parts of Far Cry that the studio had like ever come up with, all the mechanics. They pumped it up. Uh,
They stripped
they
it
gave it
down to
steroids.
they stripped
They
it down
stripped it
to
down and
like
pumped it
six
up.
hours.
They stripped it down mechanically. They just gave you the fun mechanics. No more big trees. Right away, you want to throw infinite shurikens? Sure. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Your guns have like infinite ammo, right? Like they don't fuck around. You're a cyborg, like special agent. And I wish there was more of that in this. Instead
Yes.
of just a dude wearing a bomber jacket, like running around sweating for 45 minutes.
Like tripping out, being like, they're after me.
And again, one of the better parts. But eventually, this is wrapped up in the last 10 minutes. Eventually, he visits some hacker friends.
I know the episode meanders so much, and then
It meanders.
quickly,
There is something here, but it meanders.
yeah, and then
Like he meets to like do good with this investigating officer, and then it's like, dude, you're not doing yourself any favors. He like fucking beats the guy up in the middle of a bar.
I know he like goes to try and make peace with them, and then immediately just starts like spouting off like paranoia. And then like attacks him. I'm like, wow,
He's
dude.
the one that initiates the fight.
I'm like, wow, dude, you really like shot yourself in the foot here.
He did before we even find out that guy's then immediately assassinated.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot that guy was killed.
Yeah,
that
the
guy
investigator is killed, and 15 people just saw him get in a fight with.
Yeah, I forgot to mention there was a scene where the investigator guy, the internal affairs dude, tells William Shatner, like he's like, oh, I think it's Jake Cardigan who is the leak, and
Yeah.
Shatner is like, but it can't be. It's just I trust him with my life.
I trust him with my life. It has to be somebody else.
And he's like, well, you need to like not interfere. You need to let me like do my job and investigate.
I'm just trying to do my job.
And I need to investigate with the fullest of my abilities. He's like, but he's innocent. And he's like, well, if he is, then I'll prove that. But
and you know what?
You need to let me like take the gloves off. And he's like, all right, you have my full support. And he's like,
he goes back and forth so fucking much.
He's like, but Jake Cardigan's gonna come here, and he's gonna try and like convince you that he's innocent, and you can't fall for it. Like you have to, like, no kid gloves with this guy. And Shatner's like, well, then that's what I'm going to do. You have nothing to worry about. I will be a consummate professional.
This guy, he goes back and forth between, no, it couldn't be him, and yeah, you're completely right, but it can't be. And he goes back and forth so much, and it's like, dude, you're supposed to be portraying a strong-willed character, and you just like yo-yoed like whether or not you can. By the way, the whole episode is Biscom is Willie Bill, if I may, like penduluming back and forth between he must be on the tech, he must be a traitor. No, I trust him with my life. He's like a son to me. What? Only one of those sides can be true, my dude.
See, I got the impression that William Shatner does actually like trust him with his life and does like love him like a son, but
I think so.
He's putting up like a like tough face because that's what the investigator wanted him to do.
And it's the company, like he's like the CEO and like director of the company, right?
Right.
So he's got to be tough, and I kind of got that too. Yeah.
What does God need with a starship?
Cardigan, 2 to beam up. Captain William and God. So apparently
I will say
Billy has more screen time in this than like any other episode.
I will say I'm making fun of William Shatner and have been all throughout.
I am too, but go ahead.
One thing I will say, and this is entirely unrelated to TekWar, I'm going to talk about something more interesting than TekWar.
Dare you?
Star Trek Generations, which is not a great movie, but it's the passing of the torch movie between the original series and the Next Generation cast. Spoilers for a 30-year-old movie, but Captain Kirk dies at the end of that movie. William Shatner actually gives like probably one of the most like convincing like death, like convincing like performances of someone dying I've ever seen. He's
seen that movie in a long time. I remember it being.
He's like pinned under the scaffolding, and
right.
He realizes that he's dying, and he like kind of just looks up, and he's like, "Oh God!" And then his eyes just go like glassy, and he dies.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's right.
It's a surprisingly like convincing like death scene. So I'll give Shatner credit for that.
Yeah, because it's not like glamorous. He doesn't have 2 minutes to say his goodbyes. It's just it's there.
Yeah.
And I remember that now.
His reaction is just, "Oh God," when he realizes that he's like dying, and like literally just like dies right after that. I don't know. It's I think it's one of the an unsung performance, death performance.
Well, I like that because like the idea that death must always be like ceremonious and of big impact. Sometimes it just like sometimes you get wedged under a beam,
and it just happens.
It just fucking happens. Is scarier, is more real.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And unfortunately,
not everyone's an old person gathered around by all the people that they love. As they say their like final goodbyes and peacefully slip into a dream, a happy dream, and then die with like a smile on their face as like a heart monitor goes boo, and their family like holding their hands all like wipe their tears. And indeed, in this, some of the more interesting parts of the show are Shatner's performances when he's giving when he's delivering what's the word I'm looking for? When he's doing his monologues and he's delivering
exposition.
Exposition. Exco, give it to you. When he's delivering exposition. Now, normally I'm not like a fan of that, but I think they did it in the episode. I think they did it properly.
Well, and sometimes you just need a character to explain the plot to you.
Especially with a 40, like if you come halfway through this episode, like that 45 minutes, right? Halfway through the episode, you're like, where's Shatner to explain what I missed?
I don't know. Honestly, I kind of feel like I could have just come into this episode 45 minutes in and not really missed much. Or not 45 minutes in, but I could have come into it like halfway and not really feel
if you
like
catch the last much. 10 minutes, you do kind of get the whole episode. You're like, oh, okay, so this guy's like tweaking. He hasn't slept. He wants his son to know that he's not a drug addict, that like whatever's going
Oh,
on,
I forgot about
etc.
the shit with his son.
Yeah,
Cause
I
like
thought that was fine.
cause like
It
his
shows that he's got a fam.
he goes and tells his son, he's like, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. You believe me, right,
You
son?
believe me, right? You believe me, son? And his son's like, oh, okay, dad, you're not crazy. No, it's not that bad.
Which I remember looking at them and being like, wow.
You know what a crazy person does?
Well, no, I was gonna say, like, I remember watching this last night and thinking, like, wow, that kid looks kind of, and like the son looks kind of old to be this actor's son. Like, I feel like he was only like 10 years younger than the other guy.
Remember, he went into cryo,
Oh, you know what?
so
You're
he
right.
missed a chunk of his.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, he went into cryo for like a decade or something, and he missed. He didn't age, but his son
Yeah,
like
because
did,
his son, the actor, looks like maybe like 10 years younger than him.
and so he's re-catching up like with his family and like his son, and
You're,
they
you're
have a bond.
you're looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm not crazy.
Not crazy. Would a crazy
They're
person do this?
they're they're just. I'm not crazy, okay? They're after me. And, like I can hear them talking through the walls.
I can hear them in the walls. What?
Like they're there right now. Bang bang bang.
So we
Oh.
find out that Lambert is paying the therapist. First of all, how much do you need to get paid as a therapist? And I know how much you motherfuckers make. In the future, you're probably making like $5,000, especially with the machine she has, the PTSD machine. That like,
Yeah.
kudos on that prop, right? That like brings you back and forces you to like semi-consciously experience a dream state. That the therapist can enter and guide you through. That's cyberpunk as shit, right? Brain dance.
Bong. Bong.
TekWar. Uh,
You're waiting for a train.
yeah.
Bong. Bong.
We're trying to make Inception sounds, people.
Yeah. Shortly after
I
that
don't
movie,
even remember. Oh, we find out she's corrupt, and Lambert's paying her the big bucks.
shortly
When she's
after
like,
that,
"I'm not going to do it anymore," he's going to like snap, and it'll be like, "Hey, do you want?" He trusts you. He's fine. Blah blah blah. And like, you want the money, don't you? And I'm like, "There's no way like a therapist of this caliber is hurting for money." I'm
hey,
sorry.
dirty, baby, I got your money, don't you worry. I say, hey.
Get the money. So she's doing this for money. It would have made more sense for me if she was like doing it because he was extorting her. Because like you see her office,
Yeah,
this bitch is like making like 10 grand a month easy.
yeah, her mom is like sick in a home, and the guy is like, is Lambert
That's
is
what a
like,
tech terrorist would do.
like, I'll make sure she gets the utmost care.
But if
All
you
you'll
don't
need to
do what I
do is
need,
work
yeah,
for me.
it's work for me. I am named Lambert. No, that
Lambert.
makes sense. But like this Lambert.
It is
Uh,
pronounced Lambert.
why do I have an Eastern European accent, but have a name like Lambert? So
You
Lambert,
started to sound Spaniard there.
I did. I was like, did I just? I started to become like almost Mask of Zorro.
I know that's my accent was jumping all over the place too.
Yeah. No, Lambert's just a born white guy who's like, hey, bitch, you want to make some money? There we go. Throw some Italian in there. Bet you want to make some money. And she's like, okay, and keeps doing it. And it sucks because like,
Now listen here, Mr. Therapist lady. I got the boys in the back, you know. They're ready to go on a moment's notice. All you gotta do is take this Jake cardigan wearing motherfucker, put him through the dream machine, and you just gotta make him go a little, you know, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, if you know what I'm saying.
so basically, what's it when a sleeper agent uh what's it called there's like another term for like sleeper agent or like uh what's that like
You're like,
narrative
I know
like
you've been
term.
watching political thrillers lately.
um so basically sleeper agent, basically what this is trying to do, it's trying to trick Lambert into the hallucination that he's seeing is
Oh,
actually
Cardigan.
Biscom Cardigan, sorry. Trick Cardigan that the person that's like in his dreams that he's hallucinating about is actually Biscom, not his father, not Lambert, and that he's to blame. And Biscom has set up
Oh,
killing the
conditioning.
investigator, conditioning. There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, conditioning him to believe that Biscom is setting him up for a failure. Right. So his partner, my background, she does the thing where she puts her hands on the wall and like pins the therapist to get answers from her. That's a great scene right there. She's like, listen here, slut. You're gonna fuck. And she's like, I can't tell you. There's a client patient. And she's like, oh, how about I get you in cryo for like 50 to life because of the shit that you pulled? And she's like, and she completely rolls. And she tells her everything. And so kudos to her because she's believed in Cardigan the whole like episode. She goes and tells everything, and she's like, "Hey, I have her testimony. She spilled everything. They've been reprogramming him. That's why he's so like fucked up." And the ending is cool. The ending is Biscom going, "I want everyone to evacuate. Turn off the security systems." And the hacker girl's like, "Can't I put up some force fields in the very least?" And he's like, "No, I need to do what I should have done a long time ago." And you know what? That it was a good ending. Like,
I was just looking up a hacker girl. Actress who plays her is named Natalie Radford. She's 57 now. Still looks good.
oh, and her hair is in this like cyberpunk like spiral like bun. Cyberpunk for the 90s.
Yeah.
William Shatner's version of cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Um and they all leave. There's a guy that's kind of like a Vulcan who's like, that's not the logical thing.
I forgot about that guy.
He appears twice.
Yes.
What?
So great value.
I'm like, is this
Spock
a Vulcan?
shows
This is
up.
great.
He even mentions something not being logical.
Yeah, he even mentions he's like, I'm only pursuing the most logical course of action.
Right.
Like he's not. Oh, I think he's an android. Is that why he looks weird and he's logical?
Could be, but I remember watching this and just laughing.
I laughed.
I'm like, wow, Shatner.
President's choice. No name brand Spock.
Yeah.
It's very clear. I'm like, okay, Shatner, you put Spock in this.
You just put Spock in your show, basically.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, so we don't get much of him. I wanted to know, what is he an android? Like, what's going on? Because he referred to feelings are more of a human, blah blah blah. So I got the gist that he wasn't human.
There are other androids in the show. Looking at Wikipedia, because one was actually played by Tori Higginson, who was Dr. Weir. Later went on to be Dr. Weir in Stargate Atlantis.
Okay, so there are androids. Oh, okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm feeling like he's an android.
Yeah, she's an android who possesses all of the memories of the original Beth Kitteridge.
Huh. See, that's cyberpunk as fuck. See, so there are seeds of cool shit in this show. And in the last 10 minutes, all it is Biscom talking to Cardigan while Cardigan's like sweating, holding a gun to him. And he's like, hey, maybe I haven't shown it, but I needed to be hard on you because blah, blah, blah. And I see that was a mistake. I do trust you. And he's like, no, you don't. You set me up. And he's like, if I set you up, would I be talking to you by myself right now?
And then Shatner is like, Jake, just ask. I just have one question for you. was God. He was a starship. You saw where I was going with that.
And I can't remember exactly what said, and he's like, I've put your life on the line so many times. And Jake is like, yeah, and you never appreciated me for it. And he's like, and I do. And I want, and that is why.
Shut up. You're not my real dad.
You're not my real dad. And he's like, I know. But that's why I'm putting my life on the line now. To show you that I care. I know you didn't kill blah, blah, blah. And wow, I was like, huh. And eventually he puts down the gun and like they kind of sit like next to each other or whatever. And he's like, I can't tell you that I love you, son, but love you like a son, but well damn it, I'm trying to now. And they kind of have a moment before, seemingly off screen, they captured Lambert. Like he's just in his underwear in the following scene in a white like lab, seemingly having been arrested and is about to go into cryosleep.
Right.
And I'm like, wait, what? And that's how they're wrapping up like season 1. And I'm like, there's no chase. There's no like the dude that's like been through like the FaceTime screens like all episode. He's just getting ready to go into cryo freeze.
And as he's getting ready to go in cryo freeze, he like says a bunch of bullshit. And then all of a sudden, like Professor X just like turns around and starts wheeling away, and the camera slowly pans out with music being all like do 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 do. You won't be rid of me for long, Charles.
As he gets
I
like that we're way more amused by our stupid like jokes that have nothing to do with the show whatsoever.
Nothing at all.
And Lambert wakes up 20 years later. And when he goes into cryo, he's like, when I get out of here, he's like, I'm going to find you. And I'm like, dude, homie's not going to be alive when you get out of there. Like, you need to think about, like, how old is Shatner in this? And he's like, you know what? You go to hell and leave me and my son alone. It's not quite how it ends, but also kind of
just
how
freeze frame with him being like do 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 do.
TekWar. Doom 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 doom.
TekWar. Barrel, 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 barrel. Shatner. Barrel.
Cryo freeze. That German dance music of the 90s, which doesn't exist on the show, unfortunately. Yeah, we need a lot more of. See, the Matrix was on the cutting edge. Their future is like, you know, like BDSM, people wearing like latex, wearing glasses indoors. Pretty sure there's a lot of shots in the clubs of the different Matrix sequels, which are just like they're just gimps hanging out, people in gimp suits.
I might actually put a song at the end of this episode, but if you want, if you want to get an idea of kind of what I'm thinking of with the whole like TekWar thing, TekWar, look up the band Lords of Acid. It is straight up like 90s like German like BDSM sex club like electronic music.
Lords of Acid?
Yeah.
Any song I should
Rough Sex.
Oh, that opening synth. Oh, this is exactly what I was hoping it would be.
That's exactly what I was going for with the whole like TekWar thing. Go. I've recently discovered I have like quite a fondness, even not even like nostalgia, but just like quite a fondness for like 90s like club music.
Yeah.
It's just and it's not nostalgia because I didn't listen to that stuff at the time. but I'm just really liking it now at this point in my life.
Yeah, I've gone through periods where I'm like, huh, I've just discovered this like type of music, and I really enjoy it.
This type of music that was making the rounds, like, 30 years ago.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
I'll put Rough Sex by Lords of Acid at the end of this episode of the
there you
podcast.
go. And that's how it ends with Magneto being cryo frozen, and
You won't be rid of me for long, Charles.
Professor X, side by side with Wolverine, like walking out or like going away from the camera as the sun sets, and there's a doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
uh, in that Doctor Strange movie, Multiverse of Madness, where Patrick Stewart reprises his role of Professor X,
Right.
he straight up like wheels in on the like yellow like hover chair from the 90s cartoon. And if you listen to the
Yes.
if you listen to the score, it's like an orchestral version, but you hear do 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 as he like floats in on the hover chair.
I remember that.
I like that movie more than most people do.
I like it. They should bring the 90s cartoon back. Somebody told me that they were.
Yeah, they announced it something like 4 or 5 years ago now, but it's called like X-Men '97. It's coming to Disney Plus at some point, and they've got most of the cast from the original cartoon coming back.
And it's a cartoon?
Yep, it's a sequel to the series. It's called X-Men '97 because the original cartoon ended in '97.
That's what I was figuring. Yeah. Do you know? Did they announce if it was a continuation or
It is. It is. Yeah.
shit? Huh.
X-Men '97. When is this finally premiering? Scheduled to premiere in early 2024. Yeah, it was announced in 2019.
Okay, so they've actually had time to work on it.
Apparently, the second season of it is in production right now. It's like, why have they been sitting on this so long?
Huh. Oh, and they're working on the
X-Men members Cable, Bishop, Morph. Hey, Morph died. Nightcrawler and Forge will appear, as will the Hellfire Club members Emma Frost and Sebastian Shaw, along with Bolivar Trask. Cool. Cal Dodd, who voiced Wolverine in the original cartoons, coming back to voice Wolverine. I'm sorry, but his voice is like the most iconic like performance of Wolverine, in my opinion. No disrespect to Hugh Jackman,
Oh, right.
who I
yeah.
really like as Wolverine, but like the guy who voiced him in that original cartoon is the GOAT, in my opinion.
Yeah, what was his name?
Cal Dodd. Wonder what else he's done. Not a lot, really. He mostly just voices Wolverine and things. By the looks of it, in like video games and shit. Looks like he's mostly a musician. Anyway, we're like way off.
We're just watching YouTube clips now, folks.
So Cal, you just caught a random episode of TekWar.
TekWar. Barrel, barrel, barrel.
Would you tune in again?
I think I liked it more than you did, but it doesn't have enough for me to tune in again. And having seen the last episode, I feel like I've experienced all the series has to offer in one episode. In the last 15 minutes of it specifically. So I don't think I would tune in again.
That's fair. Instead of tuning in again, I would just go listen to Lords of Acid.
There you go. That'll basically give you the gist of what the show wants to be.
I sent
in our heads.
I sent Cal a image of the AEW wrestler Wardlow. I was like, this image of his face. I was like, this was my reaction after watching TekWar, and it's just him being like,
I love that face. It's him just going like, I can't do that with.
It's just a face of like utter like bewilderment, like that happened
And disappointment. Yeah.
uh
Yeah. No, that happened. Yeah. That's a good summary exit of TekWar.
yep, Tech
It
War.
happened.
It happened, and
It was a show of all time.
hardly anyone but me and Lewis remember it.
It certainly was a show.
It certainly was a show. And this was also a show. This was episode 75 of the Lasercomb podcast. If you want to support the show and or pick a show for us to review a random episode of on this very podcast, go to patreon.com/lasercomb, where at the $5 tier, you get to do that. You also get our Patreon exclusive show, the Super Lasercomb Patreon Super Show, which it's mostly a weekly show. We didn't record a whole lot in the month of. Actually, no, we did. I think we did one almost every week in December, but I can't remember.
More with that than other things. Yeah.
Than other things, yeah, because you get what you pay for with Lasercomb Productions. Damn it. Yeah, so if you want to get in on all of that, go to patreon.com/lasercomb. You can follow me on Twitter, I guess, if you want. I'm at Lasercomb. I never do anything on there. Like a week or so, a little over a week ago, I was kind of live tweeting my reactions to the AEW World's End pay-per-view. And that was the most I've used Twitter in eons.
Eons.
I posted some fun images of Tony Storm sitting on Riho's face and Riho smiling because of it.
Yeah, I was like, hey, wait a second. She's breaking character and she's smiling.
It's like
I would too, but
she is enjoying that booty on her face. I mean, who wouldn't? You can follow me on Instagram. I am Instagram.com/Christopher Siege. You can, I don't know. I'm not terribly active on social media these days, honestly. You go to the Discord if you want to interact with us. There's always a link to the Discord in the description of these episodes. So if you want, that's the best way to interact with us, is just join the Discord.
Yeah, I am
link in the description
on social media either. But like, we actually interact with Discord, so
yeah. So that's the best place to talk to us. We will be back next time on the Lasercomb podcast with another Patreon pick. This one from another longtime listener and Patreon subscriber, Cone Killer Confusor, the man himself. He said that I come totally prepared. Oh yes, in regards to Tripping the Rift, which we reviewed 3 months ago now at this point. Holy shit. He felt like he needed to save us from the horror that is Tripping the Rift and cleanse our palate with something that's actually good. And you know what? He's right. He pitched us the 2017 DuckTales cartoon, which I've watched, I think, the first season of.
I've watched none of the 2017.
It's really funny. Like, actually, like, laugh out loud funny.
Okay.
And the humor is like, the show, like, it's a cartoon. It's designed for all ages, but like, the humor is clearly aimed at people who are our age, who watched the original DuckTales back in the day.
Okay. So he's saving us.
He's saving us.
Redeeming himself from Tripping the Rift.
Yeah. So,
to be fair, I had wanted to watch Tripping the Rift too. And
that is true.
A blast from the past that Did not take fondly.
It was a blast from the past that I wish I was blasted for while watching it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're watching DuckTales.
So I'm going to hit screen share and hope my computer doesn't explode as it was doing for a while. But it hasn't done that for a while now, so... screen share. Here we are. The old trusty random number generator. DuckTales had... How many episodes did it have? Scrolling down. Scrolling. 69! Nice. So one random number between 1 and 69, and here we go. Where it stops, nobody knows. It stopped on episode 69. And if you're watching the video version, you can
it actually did.
See that I'm not dicking around here. It actually stopped on episode 69.
Wow, so the final episode again.
Once again, the final episode, the last
69,
adventure.
nice.
Yeah, achieving nice status. Well, I've only watched about the first season or so of DuckTales, so, well, this will be an adventure, because, life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg.
That's right.
So we'll be back next time with that. And until then, I have been Christopher Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm your other host, NeoCal.
And until then...
TekWar. Shatner. TekWar. Bye-bye.
Go.
Go.
What is God?
What is God? Need with the starship. Should have ended on that. Well, I guess I
Damn.
just did. Bye-bye.
Love is the answer. Now think about love. Don't think about bright moon, twinkling stars, red wine, silent whispers, holding hands, secret love letters. I think about pure sex, deep sex, hard sex, rough sex. God! Now think about love. Don't think about candlelights, red roses, wedding bells, moonlight serenades, warm summer nights, fable too. I think about pure sex, deep sex, hot sex, rough sex. God! not think about love. Don't think about bright moon, twinkling stars, red wine, silent whispers, holding hands, secret love letters, candle lights, red roses, wedding bells, moonlight serenades, warm summer nights. I think about pure sex, deep sex, hard sex, rough sex. Yeah!